Hey everyone, I'm your host Chetna, and on today's episode, we're bringing you a very informative and interesting chat about probably what is known as the mother of all exams, the UPSC entrance exams, which takes you to the civil services of India, gets you a place at either the IAS, the IFS, the IPS, or the IRS. And the reason it's called the hardest exam in India is because I'm told roughly about 10 to 12 lakh people sit for the prelims every year, and the final selected seats are about 1,000, and I'm told that number keeps shrinking and each year. So we're looking at roughly 0.1% entrance probability, which really makes it the hardest exam in the country. So today we're going to answer all your questions about how do I qualify for the exam, what are the strategies to prepare for it, what about the mains, the prelims, the interviews, and everything you want to know, we're going to have answered for you today. So to help you clear this exam and become a topper at it, we have with us Saurabh Singh Chauhan, who's a BCom and an MBA, and he went on to clear his UPSC 2015 with a rank in about 200s, and that's a phenomenal rank, and I know you're going to get there too once you hear his advice. He's currently Assistant Commissioner of Income Tax of the Andheri region in Bombay. So let's welcome Saurabh to the show. Hi Saurabh.
Thank you so much for getting me here, and thank you so much for the generous introduction.
And let's start with a little bit talking about what is civil services and the entire range of services that get covered under this.
In a layman's language, civil services is like the administrative setup of the country. So you would see we have various departments, and the officers or the people manning those departments are coming from these services only. So say you'll have the administrative service, you'll have the police service, the revenue service.
Yeah.
In all these posts, wherever senior officers are there, they come through these civil service exams only.
Right. Now let's talk about the qualification for the exam. So let's talk about the educational qualification. What do they require?
The educational qualifications are the bare minimum. One should be a graduate. Any stream, any recognized university, whether actively doing it or through correspondence.
Okay.
Just that.
Just that. There's
3 years.
no like a score, minimum score. You just need to pass.
Yeah, just passing.
Superb. So they can spend all their energy in preparing for the exam and sort of keep the graduation as well on the side.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the age? Is there an age limit?
There are different categories. So you have the general categories and the OBC, ST and SC.
Right.
Every category has different number of attempts and the age criteria.
Okay.
So for the general, if I am able to recollect correctly, that will be, I think, 32 years is the top, and 6 attempts they have. And every year or something, as per the government notifies, they keep on changing that.
Okay.
For the other categories, the number of attempts and the age limit will be higher than this only.
Right. So they need to check, please check in your year as to the age limit and the number of attempts, because it keeps changing.
Yes.
So let's say I'm a fresher and I want to start preparing for this exam.
Right.
How early do you think I should start my preparation?
Now, one gets into the service, the minimum age required is 21.
Right.
So the earlier you get in, the better it is, then you have a longer tenure in the service.
Right.
So probably if you're not too over enthusiastic, I think middle time of your graduation, when you've possibly made up your mind that you want to put in at least 3-4 years dedicated here.
Right.
Because it's a long run race, a marathon like. The earliest would be somewhere 19 or 20 years.
Right. But roughly giving it 2 to 3 years of preparation, and how many hours a day do you think at towards the end especially do you think you need to put in?
This would, I'd say, again vary person to person.
Right.
How dedicated you are, and then how focused you are when you're studying. If you say effectively you put in 7 to 8 hours, that is more than sufficient.
Yeah, that's a lot actually. Productive 7 to 8 hours in a day.
It drains you like anything.
Yes. So this exam, as we know, has a prelims, they have mains, and then the interview.
Correct.
So let's talk about the prelims first. What is the structure of that exam?
Preliminary is an objective type question format, and you have 2 exams there. One, you have the general studies, and the second is the aptitude test.
Okay.
Both the papers consist of 200 marks. I think the questions vary. In the general studies, you have 100 questions, and in the aptitude test, you have 80 questions.
Okay.
Then you have the concept of negative marking coming into the picture there.
Okay.
And
in both of them?
Yes, in both of them. In the aptitude exam, there is slightly difference in there. So Some questions have an inherent built-in negative marking. So where you get marked proportionately. If you give the most appropriate answer, you'll get the maximum marks. Second best, you'll get slightly lesser. And the last, then you'll get a 0, something like that.
You said they were both for 200 marks.
Yes.
So they both carry an equal weightage in the final score.
So the cutoff will be determined by the cumulative scores of both the exams.
Right.
But you have a threshold that you need to have a certain minimum score.
Okay.
So for the aptitude exam, that is 33% if I am able to recollect properly.
Okay.
That keeps on changing as per the government says. But then after this 33%, the score is not counted.
Right.
Then it shifts to the first paper, that is the general studies.
Okay.
So the higher you score there, that will determine your rank in that merit list.
Yeah, so that's the key one, and the second one you have to clear. Okay.
Once you clear that thing, even if you score say 190, that would not help you.
Right.
Indirectly.
Yes.
So get 70 there and get the maximum here is like the concept right now.
Right. And you also said that there are negative marking. Is there any other strategy that you would like them to keep in mind when they are sitting for that prelims, the objective type paper? How should they be thinking?
Strategy would vary for everybody, but one common thing would be everyone should have a cool head there.
Right.
Getting over enthusiastic or saying I'll attempt everything and then doing wrong, or saying I'll keep a very safe side and then attempting very less. Both these strategies could backfire.
Right.
So keeping a cool head, taking a good guess even if you have to take that, trying to get a above average score.
Right.
Because it's more like a race where everybody is running.
Sure.
So you need to be above the average so you clear it rather than trying to hit the head in the prelims.
Right.
The prelims is like a sifting process, like I said.
But it's a pretty large sifting process.
Yes.
So a very significant reduction of numbers happens at the prelim stage.
So during the year, then I gave the exams. If I am correct, then 9 to 10 lakhs candidate appeared for the exam, and the prelims sifted, and only about 15 to 17,000 wrote the main exam.
Right. Tell us some books and websites that you think were useful for you or you'd like to talk about that they could refer to.
So as far as the books one would concern, it is like a foundation you have to build. So the foundation would start from the NCERT basic books that we study in the school.
Right.
Your CBSE, NCERT, starting from say 6th standard onwards till the 12th. Across the subjects, you have those civil subjects, history, geography, biology, chemistry, all those things would combine the basic foundation.
Right.
And then once you are comfortable with these, then you start building with specific books that help you go deeper into the domain.
Right. Talking about these subjects, when they are doing their graduation, undergraduation, should they do it in any particular area you recommend that will be beneficial for them to appear for this exam?
So probably the humanities subjects do have a slight weightage in the exam. You'd say subjects like if you're doing something in history, geography, public administration, sociology, you have those direct papers there, and they are also involved in the general studies exams.
Right.
So one, you have the optional and the general studies. But one has to be comfortable in that subject.
Absolutely.
So, because this is like a race where you are hitting the arrow in the dark. If that arrow doesn't hit, you should have an option of doing something else. So, try to do something that you're comfortable with. And if these things you are comfortable with, then definitely go for it.
Then it helps.
It'll definitely help.
Yeah. So Saurabh, tell me, they've gone and taken this prelim exam with your strategies, and let's say they've come out. Now from there, the mains exam, how much time roughly is there between the two?
If I recollect, it would now be, I think, about 3 months, give or take few days here or there, but broadly 3 months.
Around 3 months. Now, by the time the result of the prelims come, it doesn't leave them with much time to prepare for the mains. So probably they need to start studying for both exams before they sit for the prelims.
Yes, definitely. So this is a year-long preparation cycle itself.
Right.
So because you have a wide array of subjects that you have to study, then the prelims, mains, interview. So the preparation starts 1 year before you write the prelims, minimum.
Okay. For all the 3 components, you should be ready ideally, and then just use that gap period to revise.
Revise, write your mock test, or then keep yourself fresh with those latest updates. That's it.
Sure.
If you are planning, say, between the two that you will prepare all these subjects and then write the mains, that will be an uncertain answer. Like mission impossible to say so.
So let's talk about the mains exam, the structure of this paper.
So this would be an essay type exam.
Right.
You have some language papers, those are qualifying in nature.
Okay.
One would be English compulsory and then one regional language as per your choice.
Okay.
Apart from that, so where you actually have to score, there are 7 papers.
Right.
So you have 4 general studies, and in those papers you have a wide array of subjects again. So stretching across your basic knowledge, you'll have your history exam, geography, then you've got economics, then you've got ethics, civils, and all those domains they cover in the general studies, which is same for everybody. Then you get one essay exam, again same for everybody. Then
on a general topic, that could be an opinion-based essay.
One would be testing slightly on your general studies and those aspects, which would one, if you put it, slightly technical.
Okay.
The topic. The other would be more of a philosophical topic that gives you your whole canvas where you can sketch that essay as per what do you think there is. And in a 3-hour exam, then the examiner actually gauges what you're thinking in those philosophical, so to say, topics. So we have 4 general studies, 1 essay, and then 1 optional paper where you have 2 exams. So that cumulatively makes it 1750 marks.
Right. Yes. So this optional is one subject that they need to select.
Correct.
And typically one of the questions that they always ask is, which is the subject that I should choose, which I'm going to score well. So what would be yours?
This thing actually has a catch in itself. So some people will go for a subject that gives you the maximum number of marks, because in the end that is what matters.
Right.
The mark that actually qualifies you need to be, what would one say, comfortable and loving that subject. So you cannot follow that herd mentality ki this subject is giving the maximum possible marks or getting the best result every year, I'll write that subject. Or possibly saying ki this subject has a good number of books to study or good coaching available, so I'll study that subject.
Okay.
So one should ideally choose a subject, say either if you've done your graduation or some higher study in that.
Right.
Even if not, and then choose a subject which you have some inherent liking for and which you can say study in and out without getting frustrated. What am I studying?
Yeah, because as it is, there's so much to study. At least one should be a comfort zone for you.
So if you ideally visit a candidate who's preparing for the exam, you'll just find one bed and a whole stack of books everywhere. So that stack should be inviting to you, not that you sit and say ki, I don't like this thing.
What a pain.
Yeah, that actually for 1 year, if you're studying that, candidates stretch. 1 year is the bare minimum.
Right. So give us an idea of what are the kind of subjects. I know we won't have to be able to go through the entire list, but what is the kind of subjects available for that option?
So if one would want to see in detail, the UPSC every year comes out with the exam notification that's available on the website. In that, they list out quite a large number of subjects. If I remember, 20 odd subjects are there. So one would be the humanities side. You have public administration, philosophy, sociology, anthropology. One is those lines. One would be the technical lines. You say engineering, chemistry, biology, those ones. Then the third would be language also. You have Hindi, you have Sanskrit, you have Pali, and some other languages also. And then come subjects like which I've done in commerce and accountancy.
Right, because
so
you did
this,
BCom.
Yeah, this line, then you've got economics there and some others. So you have a wide array of subjects.
Right. Another question they want to know is that if there is a mathematical subject or there is accounting or maybe let's say a science subject, are they allowed a calculator in the exam?
So for very just specific papers, you are allowed the simple calculator, not the scientific one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, talking about the essay type question.
Right.
How important is their handwriting?
It should be comfortably legible, that is it.
Okay.
You should not be painting your own canvas that without you, nobody will understand that. So the person who's on the other side of the desk will say, Bhai, ye kya likha hai? I'm not able to make out anything.
Right. And also on coaching, that's another question they always want to know is that, do I need to go through coaching or can I study on my own?
That I'd say again would depend on the candidate. So I'd say I have gone through coaching, and it is just again another building block only. The castle that you build is on your own. You are the architect of it. Nobody else will tell you what to do.
Right.
So either you buy that building block or you just assemble it on your own, depends on to you.
Right. Saurabh, like you said, in the mains, almost all the papers have this slightly long answer format.
Right.
A long answer format always scares them away.
Yeah.
So the question they probably want to ask is that, how should you structure that answer? Should you write your answer in points?
Okay.
Or do you have to write a nice long essay, and how long? And ऐसा नहीं मेरा time खत्म हो जाए, I'm formulating this. So I need your advice.
It will be a mix of everything, I'd say, because the inherent nature is a essay type answer. So in that, at least it has to be structured in a fashion that it has no loose ends and everything is in a flow. So like abruptly writing a point, like a mathematic thing, ki the point is done, finished. It's not like that.
Right.
So even though it will be only about 150 to 200 words, you need to have a slight opening for it, then the main body and then the conclusion.
Okay.
And in that also you'll have to give in good number of points, that your answer actually carries weights and you're not just grass cutting there. So it is advisable to be direct, but not direct to the point that you are writing just points there.
Right.
Be in a flow. Possibly you can underline your main point or highlight it, something like that. And then every question has different marks allotted to it. Some questions were 10 markers, 12 and a half, 15 or 20. And depending on that only, they'll just allot a number of words that you have to write.
Okay.
Give and take 10% here and there.
Oh, so this is where I think the next question comes in, is the mock tests.
Yeah.
And you had also mentioned earlier that perhaps between the prelims and the mains, they could do a lot of mock tests.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the mock test process.
So the idea behind the mock test, I think, is twofold. One is trying to understand how well you know your subject or how well you are attempting. And second is trying to put you in that exam atmosphere. Because once you're preparing in your room, that is your comfort zone. Nobody else is there to intimidate you or try to pressurize you. But once you sit on that seat and you're writing it, your mindset completely changes.
Right.
So in that mock test, one should definitely go to mock test till the time you are slightly comfortable with it. That tests your knowledge, how fast you write, how neat you write, how much marks you are scoring, and say where you're going wrong, any course correction midway is required and things. And then again, second, when you will come out, you will discuss with your friends. Then you will understand that I could have written something more,
Right.
could have written something less. And then again, it's a 3-hour exam.
Okay.
So if you end up focusing just on half the paper and losing up the other half, then it's no good. So you need to understand that in that 3 hours, you need to see everything, understand everything, and then attempt everything to the best possible thing.
Oh my God.
So yeah, the main exam is spread across 4 to 5 days. So every day you will have either 1 or 2 exams,
Okay.
3 hours a day.
Oh, okay.
So one exam would be say in the morning to forenoon phase. Then you'll have a slight lunch break, so to say, and then in the afternoon phase you'll have an exam.
Okay, so it's 3 hours per subject,
Per subject.
into 9. Okay, so please be comfortable with writing.
Again, yeah, this is like a marathon when you're writing also.
Yes.
So in the morning you'll be fresh mentally and physically.
Yes.
But by the time second exam, post lunch, afternoon, then you'll have that fatigue set in also.
Absolutely. And now we are less and less used to
Correct.
physically writing with the pen. So maybe that's something they want to do.
I actually face that issue only because everything, say you are messaging on your phone, you have that autocorrect thing, so your spellings go for a toss. Then you're not writing much. So usme, when you start writing with a pen, you slightly feel very awkward.
Yeah.
So why am I writing so much like that?
Yeah.
So the initial mock tests also help you build that flow and speed and cleanliness, so to say.
Right. Now that we've cleared the mains, so the same question, let's say between the mains and the interview,
Yeah.
Roughly how many months is it?
I think now they've reduced it to about 1.5 or 2 months.
Okay, which is literally getting your result for the mains and then you're almost due for the interview in a short
Yes,
period of
that
time.
is it. Yeah.
So tell us, the interview is very intimidating.
Correct.
Tell us about the situation. How many people are there and what is the sort of environment when you walk in?
The interview is more like face-to-face examination, you'd say.
Right.
So you have a panel of 5,
Okay.
and which is headed by one person who's a member of the UPSC. And 4 are people of domain experts, previous administrators, or people of excellence in their own domain. So they either turn by turn or howsoever the panel decides, they'll ask you probing questions. First line of questioning will be as per your application form that you filled in. So this application form carries a lot of weightage. They seek all your details, your basic biodata, your schooling, your hobbies, previous job that you've done, what do your parents do, where do you come from, and all those details. So in general scenarios, they start from that.
Right.
But if they want to throw you off guard, they'll ask you something that you'll be like, oh, I don't know.
Where did this come from?
Where did this come from? Or it could be like in the newspaper's headline, something happened. So it is a test of your personality. Actually, they do not call it an interview. They call it the personality test.
Personality test, yes.
Because you'll understand the kind of jobs that you're being selected for. It could be that you've just heard that some crime has happened or some law and order situation is there. How do you react or respond to that?
Okay.
So they'll also try to gauge that in the way that you're answering.
Right. What is your opinion? What is your stance on certain
Yes.
Okay, interesting. So how can you prepare yourself for an interview?
Say, because I'm saying that it is a one-to-one immediate interaction, one at least needs to be very well prepared for it. Say for the mains exams, if you've written a point wrong, you can cut it and write it again. In the interview, if you've spoken something, you cannot take it back. So for that, one should possibly go for mock interviews and at least be comfortable interacting first. So because the question will come to you, you'll have to process it and answer immediately. So it has to be a point where you are comfortable talking to people, thinking at the same time, and making your answer sound good.
Right.
You cannot blabber anything out and say, ki, I thought this would happen or something.
Yes.
Apart from these interviews, you should study your application form, try to understand everything and anything related to your life. Be that, say, your city you're coming from. So say I come from Chandigarh. So Chandigarh is a planned city. You have very much details. It has very specific monuments that have been built in the city.
Right.
So for a person who's from Delhi, all those historical monuments, that is one line of questioning. It could be possibly related to your school, where you done your education from, what your parents do. Wide gamut of things which you actually cannot define in a very short time.
Right. So it could be relating to an industry, perhaps, maybe if your father is employed there, it could be. So you need to be aware of every aspect of the resume and perhaps anticipate questions that can come from there.
These things you are expected to know because they are related to your life in some way or the other.
Right.
So some, say in the newspaper, some distant thing happened in America or some part of the country. You can say, I am not able to answer because I do not know.
Right.
That is acceptable. If something is related to your life, some way or the other, but you say, I do not know, then it's slightly putting you on the back foot and then you can get fired on that also.
Is there any last piece of advice that you like to give them? Because they're all watching and saying, this is the toughest exam. So anything you say will help them.
Such a scenario when you're attempting this exam and you slightly are at a stage of life where you say, I go this way, that way, because this exam takes a huge amount of time that you have. At least you'll say 1 year of preparation, then you go to write the exam 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years you invest in this exam. Without any other thing, one would always, I'd suggest, be calm, be composed, have faith in yourself. Because you will hear so many advices from so many people who are preparing, say, fresh or who've been preparing for 3 years. Then you have your faculty members and everybody will be giving you so much of advice. Try to grasp as many good things as you can. If you say, get into the process, then you'll start understanding which is the right thing to do and which is not a right thing to do. Just keep yourself focused on that and keep yourself dedicated. So in all likelihood, one should clear the exam after dedicated efforts. But even if you do not, so this is not the end of your life.
Right.
It should not be in the back of your mind कि ये नहीं हुआ तो कुछ नहीं होएगा.
Right.
Always have faith in yourself कि ठीक है, it is a journey. This is one important juncture, but this is not the only juncture.
Sure.
You'll definitely go ahead, find good avenues everywhere. Have faith in yourself and you'll do good in life. So the idea behind is to do good in life.
Yes.
Wherever you are, be happy. And I think That would be my final message to them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that
Thank you
with
for
us.
having me here on the show.
Huge
Also.
pleasure having you here. And thanks for watching right till the end. I'm sure you found this very useful. But if you still have any more questions that you'd like to ask me or Saurabh, please put everything down in the comment section below this video, and we are definitely going to get back to you individually. And also press that subscribe button, and don't forget the bell notification button to get your notifications on the videos. Also like us and chat with us on Facebook at ChetChat101 and Twitter at ChetChat101 and at Instagram at ChetChat101. And happy watching!